Hello friends, this is Seher from Easy Peasy, and today we are going to discover electrons. And the question is, how did we discover something that we can't see, right? Now, you can see the image on this old TV. The image that you see is created by the beam of electrons striking the fluorescent screen. Now, before discovery of electron, there was a scientist named as John Dalton. In 1803, he proposed the atomic theory. And he said that the atoms are solid. They are indestructible and no internal structure is present in them. Now, we can't even see atoms, right? So how can we discover something that is inside an atom? Now, this story starts with the phenomena of passing electricity through different matter. Now, at that time, the electricity can pass through solids or liquids, but the question is that can they pass through gases as well or not? Now, when the scientists try to conduct electricity from a gas, it doesn't conduct any electricity. So under normal conditions, the air does not conduct electricity, and they were thinking that gases are insulators. But what was happening is that at normal pressure, the gas molecules are moving very fast, so they collide constantly and prevent the visible electrical effects through the gas. So the first scientist who observed this problem is the Michael Faraday. Now, what Michael Faraday did is that he passed the electricity through gases at low pressure. And then he observed that the gas is glowing and the light has appeared inside the tube. And if he chooses different gases, it produces different colors as well. And this opens the gate for more experiments in this field, right? Then another scientist named as Heinrich Geissler created a vacuum tube. And he created vacuum in the tube using mercury pump. He didn't do anything else. He just created more vacuum or less pressure of gas inside the tube. This allows scientists to study the electrical discharge more precisely inside the tube. Then William Crookes came and he discovered cathode rays. Now, what did he do? In 1870, William Crookes, that is a British chemist or physicist, discovered the negatively charged cathode rays using cathode rays tube. Now, this is the cathode rays tube in which we have cathode and anode, and there is a gas inside in the low pressure created with the voltage. Now, he created a very low pressure, around 10 raised power minus 6 atmosphere, inside this cathode rays tube and coated the surface of the tube behind the anode with the fluorescent material. And then he applied electricity through it. Now this time, the gas is not glowing. It is specifically moving from cathodes towards the anode in the form of a beam. Now what he did is he placed a metal object, that is the Maltese cross, inside the tube. And what happened is a sharp shadow of the cross would appear on the glowing glass at the far end of the tube. That proves that the rays are traveling in a straight line from cathode towards the anode. Then he put a tiny light-weighted paddle wheel in the path of the rays. So when the beam is going to move from cathode to anode, it strikes that wheel and causes it to spin. By this experiment, William Crookes says that this seems to suggest that the rays were composed of particles that had mass and momentum. And then Crookes says that they are cathode rays. After this discovery, a great debate started. Some scientists were saying that these cathode rays are particles, and some scientists believe that these cathode rays are waves. So the next scientist, that is J.J. Thomson, did a breakthrough experiment. Now what he did is that he used the same cathode rays tube. So this is the cathode rays tube, and it's showing a beam coming from there, right? And then he put some charge plates with some magnetic fields around the tube to see how this beam is going to react with electrical field and magnetic field. So first he applied the electrical field on the beam. So when he applied the electrical field on the beam moved towards the positive side away from the negative side. Even if they change the charges on the plate, it is still moving towards the positive side and away from the negative side, showing us that this beam of rays is negatively charged. Then he changed the metals, but the same type of beam was produced no matter which metal was used for the electrodes, and it always behaves the same way. Then he applied magnetic field with the electrical field, and magnetic field is also diverting or bending this beam of cathode rays. So he managed both the electrical field and magnetic field in a way that the cathode rays will stop bending. And by that means that electrical force is equal to the magnetic force at that time. Then he put the values and find the velocity of electrons. He doesn't know that these were electrons at that time. But when he stopped the electrical field and just put the magnetic field on the beam start moving in the form of a circular path. So it means that magnetic force is also acting as a centripetal force. So he can apply the formula for centripetal force like that. Now he can change this velocity into the formula that we already found. That is the electrical field divided by magnetic field. And that's how he created the E/m value, and that was 1.76 into 10 raised to power 11. Here E is electrical field that he applied, B is the magnetic field, and R is the radius of the curvature that was made by that cathode rays. Now again, at this point they didn't know that it is electron, but by looking at this E/m ratio, J.J. Thomson can say that this particle is very much lighter than the atoms. So this led to the discovery of new tiny particle, that is the electron. And he changed the model of atom into the plum pudding model of atom. The J.J. Thomsons proposed that an atom consists of uniform sapphire with a radius of approximately 10 raised to power 10 meter or 10 raised to power minus 8 centimeter, in which the positive charge is uniformly distributed over the entire sphere. Just like you can see, the blue part is the one uniform positive charge. And the electrons are the negative particles that are embedded, just like the plum pudding model, they are embedded within the sphere in such a way that they're creating a stable electrostatic arrangement, because atoms doesn't have any charge and electrons have negative charge on them. So at that time, the protons were not discovered, so they were just thinking that it's a ball of a positive charge on which the electrons are embedded. Now the question is, what is the exact charge of a single electron? Is it -1, -2, -3? Now what is the charge of electron? That problem was solved by another scientist, that is the Robert A. Millikan. He did the oil drop experiment in 1909. Now what he did was, he designed an incredibly precise experiment to measure the charge of one electron. Now what he did is that he took a box with two electrically charged plates, one is positive and one is negative. The positive one have a teeny tiny hole inside. Then he sprayed the oil inside the chamber. When the oil passes through this hole down towards the negative charge, he bombarded it with the X-rays. These X-rays produces or attach the electrons with the droplet of oil. Now oil droplet gets the negative charge, and we have a negative charge plate at the bottom. So now here two forces are applying. One is the gravitational force that is pulling this droplet towards the bottom of this chamber. And the second is the electrical force that is created by attaching the electron with the droplet. And it is upward because negative repels the negative charge. So he adjusted the experiment that the oil droplets should suspend in the middle of this chamber. When the droplets stop moving, that means that the electrical force applied on that droplet is equal to the gravitational force. By this way, we will get an equation. Here, Q is the charge of the droplet, E is the electrical field applied, M is the mass of the droplet, and G is the gravity. When Millikan put the values inside, he calculated the charge of electron. And that was that all the measured charges were multiple of one smallest value. And that is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19. So that is basically the charge of one electron. It was discovered that electron is the subatomic particle. J.J. Thomson discovered the E/m ratio of this electron, and Millikan discovered the charge on one electron. By this way, they can find out later the mass of electron. So mass of electron is 9.11 into 10 raised to power minus 31 kg. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please subscribe this channel. Thank you. Bye for now.